Warning, this episode contains graphic language, bad Varden commanders, dwarven flirting, and especially teen angst. Also, there'll be spoilers for chapters 31 through 36 of Brisingr, Book 3 of the Inherent Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Listen at your own risk.
Is this a podcast, or is this just fantasy? We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. So join us if you want to nerd out. Time to start the podcast and see. Anyway, here's the show.
Hello, Raiders. I'm Dane Patterson, the host who doesn't want to commit an assassination per se, but one of those spectral flaming daggers would be a pretty good addition to my sword mantle. Just saying.
Famously a guy with a sword mantle. And I'm Jacqui Lanier, and is this a podcast or is this just fantasy? The podcast where we're really just biding our time, waiting to get called in to work as lab techs for CSI Trondheim. To be honest, I don't think I can think of a better job. I think that's it for me.
I just want to be the guy that's like, enhance. That would be fun. I like that.
What is the magical version of enhance in a world with magic?
Just making things actually bigger.
Yes. It actually just works the way the TV show says it does.
It would actually function.
Yeah.
And anyway, if you'd like to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the show notes. If you can or just don't want to, we totally understand. And just ask that you please rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, and as always, visit us at isthisjustfantasypod.com, our website where we sell the sweet merch I designed and post all of our episodes as full videos if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you can also catch us posting goofy shit on social media at JustFantasyPod on Instagram or at isthisjustfantasypod on TikTok.
Fantasy? Good job. Good job.
Thank you so much. It gets hard sometimes. But before we get into some light attempted assassination, casual.
Just a little bit of assassination work.
A little bit. I want to do a quick recap of what we covered on the last episode because I feel like we got a lot of world building.
Yes.
It was fun, and I'm going to cover some of it in a vague amount of detail.
Yay!
We started our last set of chapters with Aragon heading to a conference with Niswada, who's decided to split the Varden's forces to progress strategically deeper into the Empire. And while she's in her strategy bag, it turns out Queen President called Aragon to insist he go to Farthen Door to influence the Dwarven elections and secure their support for the war.
For the war.
And Ajaha didn't raise no bitch because she has a plan to cover up Aragon's absence by keeping Saphira with the army, which Aragon considers in a calm and measured way. He's thinking through her plan. Just kidding. A power struggle ensues when Aragon defies Niswada.
Yes.
But Saphira, of course, helps Aragon see reason. He eventually agrees to go, so Aragon says his goodbyes to brother, cousin, and Katrina, and has the tenderest farewell with Saphira before setting out. He sneaks out of the camp to meet up with Nargajvog, who emphasizes the importance of their shared mission against Gal.
And I'm sorry, Nargaj Bra.
That's true. How could I forget? He is our all-time.
He's the ultimate bra.
Well, he emphasizes the importance of everyone's shared mission against Galbatorix by electing to make this trek with Aragon himself as the leader of the Urgles, the most badass. He's like, I will protect you. And on the way, he shares so many new tidbits about Urgle culture, and they discuss their people's history, past conflicts, and their intertwined destinies. Aragon is more than a little racist, but Nargashbra, again, emphasizes the need for cooperation. This guy is on his shtick about this.
He's calm, cool, and collected.
He really is.
Yeah.
And they just need to all get their shit together to survive against the Empire. And the tail end of this journey is as classic enemies to lovers as it gets. So it straight up feels like the third act of a rom-com when they part ways at the border of the Dwarven territory. They're celebrating Oric's recent wedding with some wild Dwarven Olympics, and Aragon's foster brother is now the head of Durgrimston Jedum. They visit the Stone Forest, and Oric reveals that the war with Gal has stirred up the beginnings of a clan war, which is fun. Just wars on wars on wars. So he plans to vie for the throne himself. Aragon's initial refusal to support Oric outright is another tough look for our guy in this set of chapters. But Oric reminds Aragon that he's literally the best dude and just asks for his trust. He's like, Aragon, I have got you. I'm great at everything. Just trust me.
Yeah.
So with Aragon's grudging agreement to follow the dwarfs' lead during the dwarven elections, they continue their journey towards Farthendor. Meanwhile, in Roran's plotline, he's on his first mission with his new stealth unit led by Martland Redbeard. We meet Roran's new companions, including Karn, a top-tier new magician.
Totally.
Yes, and even though Roran is still on a probationary employment status, there's no need to worry because he immediately balls hard during the raid, single-handedly breaking through the Empire's cover to secure the W. And we wrapped up the last episode with SEAL Team Redbeard encountering another company of Gal's gross zombie fighters, the Laughing Dead, and despite heavy casualties and a brutal, gruesome slog of a fight, Redbeard's team emerges victorious. But in the last gasp of fighting, Redbeard himself loses his hand, and it seems to not faze the guy at all. Even a little bit. This guy is a beast. Are you ready to get back into it, Dane?
I'm so ready, and it's just dawning on me that in the last section of chapters, Aragon had 3 conversations with people.
Yes.
And disagreed with all 3 people.
They all 3 went pretty poorly. I mean, I guess on the one hand, we're proud of Aragon for standing up for himself and having opinion.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries. Are all of his opinions in this case bad? Yes, but that's okay. I've had bad opinions before.
Yeah.
Dane says, dead behind the eyes. Yes, Jacqui, that's correct.
No, I was thinking about how, like, yeah, most of my opinions sometimes are bad or expressed poorly. I think what's happening is Aragon just expressing himself poorly.
Maybe.
That's what this is.
No, I think some of those opinions are bad, Dane.
Especially the ones with our gosh, bro.
Yes, and I mean, we were just so excited for him to be back with Auric, and I know we both were like, I just want you to accept your foster brother. He's the best character.
It was so nice, too. He took him to, like, an important place in his life.
No.
Well,
can't dwell on that, Dane. We're moving forward. Much like Aragon. No time to dwell on that.
Yeah, we're not going to ask follow-up questions.
Yes. How are you feeling about this episode set of chapters?
I'm feeling better because now we have stuff like zombies, elections, PTO. These are things I like.
Things you love.
I love all these things. And it made me, like, speaking of elections, I am a big election guy.
Okay, yes.
So, like,
I know this.
I have already started very much, like, already I'm paying attention to our current election.
Yes.
I'm a big fan.
Okay.
Are you a big fan of elections?
I mean, yes.
I
am a patriot in a democracy, and yes, I'm a big fan of elections. No, I know what you're asking.
Yeah.
I do definitely follow elections and politics, probably more closely than I should for, like,
health reasons?
My sanity and mental health. It definitely keys me up getting very into it, but I do like to, like, watch all the debates. I do like to follow some, like, punditry.
Yeah.
I'm kind of into the horse race of it all. It's kind of like hot take. It's kind of like its own messy reality show here in America.
Well, in America, that is
Sometimes,
100%
or a lot
true.
Of the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at these real housewives who don't think that they're real housewives.
Yes.
I think it's funny.
Even like the Speaker of the House thing that happened earlier this year, that was like my Super Bowl. I was like 3 days straight. I am only watching this. That's all I'm watching.
That does track. Yeah.
So, okay. So we're excited for this then. We're election people.
We are election people.
Yeah.
I do definitely think it's probably something that changed a lot between reads for me. This section of election stuff when I was like 17, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't want to read this. And now I'm like, ooh, and what did she say next? Who's on his side for support?
Wait, who didn't support you? Backstabbing. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, like that.
Yeah. And that takes us to chapter 31, Blood on the Rocks. Aragon has already been in Trondheim for 3 very boring days, and he's already very irritated with all the petty politics, he thinks, worthless things like trade disputes, boundaries.
Who needs those?
So boring. We learned that during these meetings, Aragon is for sure getting sexually harassed by by this dwarven woman, Ioran?
Irun?
Earrune?
Yes.
Yeah, that's how you
I
read
love that we both listen to these audiobooks. Have we internalized this pronunciation?
Nope.
No.
Nope. And then we're like, let's have a podcast. She's the clan chief of Derngreip's Verschurgen.
Oh, yes. I love them.
Yeah, and fun fact, this is the Werewolves clan that we heard Ulrich ran around with when he was a younger dwarf, back when he was a bad boy.
That's right.
Yeah.
When he was a troubled teen, you mean, Dane?
Yeah, just carving branches out of trees. Aragon notes that she is a babe.
Great.
And but also that she is extremely politically savvy.
Yes, I did like her when we got her.
Yeah.
I mean, sexual harassment aside, not great.
I was like, you like sexual harassment,
No,
Jackie?
we can't be doing that. But
Get it, Kevin. Loop it. We're putting it to press.
aside from that,
Yeah.
her character was kind of fun. I'm like, oh, she's just out here like
Yeah.
getting what she wants.
She's
being tricksy,
She's a powerful lady.
being hot.
She's being hot. And I had to laugh at this because, like you, it was stood out to me, but she seems to use history and mythology to make sexual innuendos at Aragon that only the other dwarfs are getting.
Yes.
So it's really funny. And she jumps out right away as someone that you can tell Paolini likes to write.
Yeah.
And when I was reading stuff about her for the show, not her name and how to pronounce it, but Paolini said on Reddit a while back that he had initially written a lot more of her flirting.
Oh, really?
And that she was originally even an eldest.
Oh, damn.
Like she was in a whole other book too.
I kind of missed that. I would have read it.
I want that. Yeah.
Paolini, yell at your editor for me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I hope we get that on Disney Plus. I hope
Yes.
she becomes more of a
could.
character. Yeah. Erevan gives us the lowdown on the political situation, and there are two major candidates for the Dwarven throne. Ganel of the Quan clan, the religious dude we met in Eldest when he was in
That's right.
Aragon's guide.
Yes.
The one Arya was super mean to and who drinks while he preaches.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
I did like him.
Yeah, he was cool there.
Yes, he was like, have a beer. We're going to walk the temple.
Yeah. And the worst of the prospects for king seems to be Nado of the Neural Garthan clan.
Okay.
Who Nasawada even warned Aragon about before he even left.
Yes.
Nado is opposed to the Varden and adamantly does not want any dwarves to go to war.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this sourpuss also has the most support in opposition to Ulrich.
Oh, no.
Yeah, including the vote of Oswalden Rock Onawin.
Oh, of course.
Those veiled dwarfs. Has started the whole blood feud thing.
That's
so
right.
he would be the worst choice.
We would not like that.
Avi. So it's all kind of a mess, and there really isn't a clear ringer for king.
Okay.
And the shifting political alliances seem to be undermining stability in the Dwarven nation. The whole thing is tedious, and Aragon is just not in his element, especially because there's no way to fight something or get a concussion. So his skills are not well suited for this type of thing.
No, he's having a little trouble finding head wounds to collect.
Yeah, and I will say I feel for Aragon because we learned also that before we can even hold a vote to elect a ruler, they have to first vote whether or not they're ready to vote for a leader. So Ulrich isn't even ready for that
Oh,
step, which
damn.
means this is not happening anytime soon.
That's fair. Also, I feel like it's tough for him here. There aren't really a lot of new dads to collect.
I know. There's no one to cling on to and learn wisdom
Yes.
from. Yeah. In his free time, Aragon walks around with his Dwarven guards aimlessly and spends his time thinking about how he misses Saphira.
Aw.
And as Aragon is being emo and bored, he runs into veiled dwarfs and they
Of
spit
course.
at him.
Oh, great.
So it's a fun little Dwarven vacation so far. And he reminds me of those teens in sweaters at the beach who are like taking on a cruise to Hawaii, but just want to go back home. Those are the vibes I'm getting here. Like walking around at the beach in a sweater, listening to like music.
Dane, that's oddly specific.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. I'm never going to forget that.
You're really painting us a picture. Do you
Anyway.
have something to tell us about that cruise you went on?
It was already damaging enough. All right. Anyway, Aragon walks himself to the center of Trondheim and looks up towards Dragonhold, just basking in the sights of this massive chamber. And there on the floor in front of him, the star sapphire, Isidar Mithrum, is being rebuilt on an enormous wooden scaffold, like a giant reverse Jenga.
Yes.
And the dwarves are slotting each piece in place, and they're getting creative with it, going so far as to place the smallest pieces with dwarves hanging upside down on
God.
pulleys with tweezers.
It's wild.
Seems a tad unnecessary.
Listen, they're detail oriented, Dane.
Seriously. Anyway, they're rushing, which is very off-brand for dwarves, but they are trying to get it ready for Saphira's secret sauce dragon magic before the new king or queen is announced.
Yes.
Eventually, Aragon gets bored of that too and moves to some eating. And okay, I'm only bringing this up because
I also eat when I'm bored.
That's all. Yeah, same. Aragon eats meat again, and I had to say that this is like the vegan who had a burger that one time and is just right back to eating meat again.
I think so.
I get survivalist trekking. I'm gonna
Okay.
give him a pass on that.
Yes.
Or a wedding feast with your
Okay.
foster brother. Totally
Yes.
fine. But in this chapter, he's in a cafeteria at lunch and just chowing on some fish.
I mean, maybe, I guess the only thing I can imagine is that he's taken like the classic pescatarian off ramp that many vegetarians and vegans know and love well.
I mean, it worked for me until someone like wafted a ribeye in my general direction.
Yeah, that's fair. Moderation is, I don't know if it's working for Aragon so far. He had that thought and
Same, Aragon.
TBD.
Same. I will say, though, that Paolini made us read a lot about his morals on eating meat in moderation, and this seems different. Did we suffer for nothing, Jax? Does he only do this around Arya now? Did PETA stop paying
my God.
Paolini? I have questions.
I definitely feel like it's the Arya thing.
Yeah,
It's got to be like, I just eat meat now, except for when I'm around my crush,
Yeah.
who is a vegetarian. Then I've never smelled meat, and I don't
And
ever
it's-
think about it.
And it's morally reprehensible
Yes,
to me.
yes.
Yeah. Well, meat notwithstanding, a term I did not think I'd ever say.
A string of words you didn't think were in your future.
Yeah, no. Aragon is being super careful as he is surrounded by guards and testing all of his food for poison. Oric joins him for some meats and quickly admonishes him for his teen angst at the meeting, as it makes it clear. Like, it makes it clear that he's not having fun. It makes the clan look bad.
Yes.
And it doesn't help Oric's bid for the throne at all.
Yeah.
And I guess he just crosses his arms and huffs a lot. He, like, leaves his ear pods in. It's a classic teen situation.
Yes.
Yeah. Aragon gets mad when Oric starts talking about the political situation. And he seems to be mad about all the things, you know, that make countries work. All that stuff. Like trade negotiations. Taxes.
You know, the things that would make someone angry.
Border disputes, building. He's not into any of this stuff.
No.
Aragon is so over it, and it's really highlighting how young he is.
Yes.
And have I mentioned, though, on a pivot, how much I love Oric? When Aragon suggests that he should forcefully take the crown with Aragon and Saphira's help,
Bold choice, Aragon.
Oric calmly, I think, given the circumstances, explains how dumb that is. And in my experience here in the US of A, insurrection doesn't pan well for you, brother. But Aragon is a proud boy. So I kid. I'm just being dumb.
my God.
Anyway, Aragon spends his free time walking around abandoned tunnels without paying much attention, which seems short-sighted,
Yeah.
given there's a whole clan that wants to kill him. But maybe that's just me.
I mean, I think it's classic reckless teen.
Yeah.
He's bored, looking for a fight.
Yeah. And speaking of that, nothing happens. The chapter ends there.
Okay.
Just kidding. Aragon is shockingly ambushed by 7 dwarves he couldn't sense with his mind.
It's shocking, Cotton.
Finally, something is happening in this chapter. It's an insane battle with assassin dwarves wielding very cool white blades with special black flames, metal as fuck. Aragon responds in a way that I think shows how serious this is. He uses no language, just pure magic,
Yes.
to pull his bodyguards towards him to save them.
High stakes.
Super dangerous. Unfortunately, one of his bodyguards is pretty much instantly killed. And when he dies, we see these weird blades disintegrate his throat.
Oh, shit.
What the hell are these
Yes,
things?
those were, I was like, this is new.
Totally. So Aragon goes into rage mode, jumping off ceilings, doing crazy shit like cutting 3 heads off in a backhanded swing.
Bonkers.
After he slips, which of course he does, he tries to use some magic, which doesn't work because
Ugh.
these are super fast warded dwarf assassins
Damn.
with ghost flame swords. I'm going to keep coming back to these swords.
Yes.
It's amazing. Aragon has more problems, breaking his new dwarvish falchion right away.
Oh, shit.
And man, I wonder, Jackie, do you think he needs a rider's sword, Jax?
You know, I'm not sure. It's really hard to tell whether
Yeah.
or not his current sword situation is serving him well enough.
It just seems like
I wish he would tell us whether or not he
I just wish it would come up.
needs a sword.
Yeah. Anyway, but faulty magic and broken swords are no problem for the guy with calloused death knuckles.
True.
This fight is gnarly, and it ends with an explosion when a dagger hits one of the magic dwarven lanterns. Highly recommend a reread of this. It's a fun battle.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Yeah.
After the combat, Aragon and his remaining guards check the dead and find nothing but an amethyst bracelet on all of them. The stone
Fashionable.
yeah, very cool. I guess the elves are the only yogis Reikis around here, huh?
They just had their energy crystals.
Oh, they're more Reiki people. You're
Yeah,
absolutely
yes.
right. The stone can only be found in places that are controlled by Dermgris Oswalden Rock-Onowin.
No.
So this is for sure the blood feud thing.
Yes.
Unless that's what the killers want us to think. Dun, dun, dun.
Are we going to have to break out your red string wall, Dane?
Yeah, let's start. Let's do it. This chapter ends with Aragon swearing to his clanmates that he will enact vengeance
Oh, good.
when they find who these killers are. And so this chapter ends with my favorite things, Jack. Revenge!
I'm so happy for you. I think you really were missing. You were suffering with the lack of revenge plots in this book. So,
I mean, he started us hard in the first book, and I need more revenge.
yes, I'm so glad we're back. Do you think it'll take another 3 to wrap up this whole... Only one way to find out.
I guess we'll just have to keep reading.
And that takes us to chapter 32, A Matter of Perspective. We open this chapter in Saphira's POV, and this is new for us. We've had Aragon describe looking through her eyes, and of course we've had her thoughts through his POV, but now she's on her own, and we finally get a chapter written in the style of her stream of consciousness. It's so fun.
So remember, all of this is happening in blue.
Yes, also in shades of blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just taking a leisurely morning flight, thinking about how hot she must look, and that level of self-love is truly enviable.
Jax, she's found her polished horn.
Oh, shit. We all need to. This
Yeah.
is just one of the many ways I need to take a leaf out of Saphira's book, I think. So Saphira, just reading her is so fun, except she's also profoundly sad to be separated from Aragon, and she's anxious for him to send over the signal that it's time to head for Trondheim. She's
That's
like,
nice.
I want to be also embroiled in your angsty election
She
business.
cares about the tax disputes.
She probably would.
She probably
No,
would.
absolutely not. You'll find out soon. She would not give a shit about that. So as she's flying around, her dragon senses start tingling. She can tell that something's up with Aragon. So this must be this ambush we just read. She's even over this amount of distance, in tune with how much danger he's in. She's pissed immediately that she can't protect him. And we get some signature Saphira viciousness, thinking of the hell she would unleash if anything were to happen to Aragon in her absence.
She's wild, man.
Truly wild. She's just gliding around, surveying the fear of her potential prey on the ground with satisfaction when she sees a line of horses returning to the Vardens camp and picks out Roran among them. She can tell that Strikeforce Redbeard is seriously diminished in numbers, so she radios over to Arya to say that they're coming soon and something must be up.
Do you think that was easy because Roran's the only giant, beautiful white stallion in this column?
Yes, 100%.
It has nothing to do with her eyesight.
No, her eyesight is incredible.
Of
but
course, everything about her is incredible.
Duh. But yeah, it's definitely less just strong, muscly Roran as damn, that's the biggest horse I ever seen.
What a beautiful
I would
horse.
love to eat it, but I can't. So she's pretty mad that she has to sleep all day to keep up the whole graveyard shift ruse they have going.
Yeah.
But she curls up and dozes until sunset when she hears the arrival of Redbeard's company. And shortly after Saphira arrives at Naswada's pavilion, Roran and Redbeard show up to give our queen president the lowdown on their last confrontation with the Laughing Dead. Redbeard is still missing his hand, so apparently he waited too long for Karn to do reconstructive surgery. But this badass seems wholly unbothered by this. It barely comes up.
I picture now Redbeard with a hook.
Yes, 100%.
He needs a hook. He's a hook guy.
He's definitely a hook guy,
Yeah.
or just a club attached.
or just a full-on sword
Yes.
just attached to his stump.
Would not surprise me. But as Naswada is pressing the men for more details on their mission, Saphira is great here. This is why I think she would not give a shit about dwarven politics. She's just thinking to herself how useless all this human chatter is, and how if something comes up for her, she's either going to take an action or she's not. So talking about it for hours is just a bunch of bullshit. It's so funny to read.
Have you ever had a friend like that who's like, why are you worried about this?
100%.
Just
I
do
live in
something.
Southern California.
Oh, God.
It's we're either gonna do something or we're not, and you just have to accept the things you can't change.
Just do something about it.
I mean, low-key, I think I'm kind of that friend, but also that's more about me for another time.
We'll talk after the podcast.
So once Naswada dismisses Redbeard and his right or left-hand man, I don't know which
I think it was
hand
his
he's
left
missing.
hand. I imagine he's a right-hand guy.
Okay, so Redbeard and his right-hand man.
He's giving right-hand vibes?
Yes. So once Naswada dismisses Redbeard and his right-hand man, she and Jormungandr agree that they should promote Redbeard to be an advisor, since an active role in these raids would probably be a problem for him without a hand now. I kind of don't think so. I don't agree with her here, but I guess it makes sense. But that leaves a command post open and Roran itching for his promised leadership role. But Naswata's more cautious and insists that Stronghammer go on more than 2 missions before he's certified for middle management.
Okay, that's fair.
Yes. And before she dismisses him, Naswata asks Roran if he thinks the Varden should make some more copycat painless zombies to more easily counter the Laughing Dead. And to his credit, like, Roran really takes a minute to be like, to think about this, to consider it.
Gives her the Garrow stare.
Yes. And he's like, that might be a good idea, but also, ultimately he says, the monsters can fight for much longer, but they're also too careless, which the Varden can use to their advantage. They can exploit this as a weakness.
Yeah.
So after this cheery conference, Saphira heads back to rest by Aragon's tent. But before she dozes off, she reaches out to welcome Roran back herself, which is nice. And wouldn't you know it, when she does, Roran's got a sock on the doorknob of his tent, Dane. That dirty dog. He wasted no time getting down to business.
Of course not. His blood was up. He just been in battle.
I mean, it was days ago. They rode for days with that severed hand in a man's coat pocket.
Yeah, why is he so rearing to go?
Well, he's a young man. He just missed his wife. That's his wife, Dane.
Yeah, that's his wife.
But Saphira thinks it's funny. Roran's like very flustered, and she asks him to come hang out with her the next day because she's lonely and bored. She's like, I know you've got something happening, but can you come hang out with me?
I'm all alone.
I know. And I feel like it's just very bittersweet, but I'm excited to see if we get another fun, like, buddy cop, odd couple in Roran and Saphira. That'd be very fun.
That'd be very cool.
Yes.
You know who I bet would visit her?
Who?
Balnor.
Baldor?
Baldor.
A man you love so much.
A man I love very much. Baldor. Baldor Strongbow.
I bet she'd prefer to see Albrecht. In my opinion.
Okay, well, we know that's not true.
No, that's not true. It felt wrong while I was saying it.
I could tell you knew it was wrong as it came out. Like I felt Balnor was wrong when it was coming out of my mouth.
But the chapter closes with Saphira having a dream, which I have questions about. We know Aragon has had dreams that seem like premonitions, but we also know he's had like vivid but ultimately meaningless nightmares. So I'm wondering if you think this dream means anything.
Okay,
I'll read it.
Yeah.
She flapped and she flapped until she rose above the unreachable peaks of the Bior Mountains. Then an uncontrollable desire entered her to climb even higher and see what she might, and so she began flapping again, and in what seemed like the blink of an eye, she soared past the glaring moon until only she and the silver stars hung in the black sky. She drifted among the heavens for an indeterminate period, queen of the bright, jewel-like world below, but then disquiet entered her soul, and she cried out with her thoughts, "Aragon, where are you?"
Oh, that just seems like a nightmare.
I know. I feel like it's like very evocative description. It's kind of fun to read in a way.
You know what just dawned on me?
What?
You know when you have a nightmare, like most people's, like it's a very common universal dream that people feel like they're falling?
Yes.
Because she's flying, she just falls up.
Oh, yeah. She's just flying up without... I mean, it does seem like she's able to stop herself. So maybe that's a key difference. Like if she'd just been like to the moon without any like breaks.
Okay.
Maybe that would be that same stress or fear dream. I don't know. I do feel like though, ultimately this is just kind of a stress dream about how she could be the queen of like the literal universe. She could be up amongst the stars looking down at the puny world. But
with Sindri.
With Sindri, yes. But it doesn't really matter if she's apart from Aragon. I think that's kind of my read on it.
That's probably a better read on that.
I like the falling and flying idea. If she'd been like unable to stop herself, I would have been like lockstep right on board
That's
with
fair,
you for
yeah.
that. But that's the end of our first Saphira POV.
I liked it.
It was fun. I was really excited.
I had a lot of fun reading that.
Yeah.
She's any other character, it would be a little scary to have that.
But part of the point of a dragon is that she's scary. So yeah, I love
fits.
it.
You're like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that takes us to chapter 33. Kiss me, sweet. Yeah. I wanted to read it that way because I've been going with a lot of whispered chapters.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a
up.
whispery chapter vibes wise. But
Or you can do kiss me, sweet. All right. Anyway, we come back to Roran as he wakes next to Katrina, presumably after getting spicy all night.
That is what it seems
so
like. Yes.
He's shirtless. It's sweaty Ryan Gosling.
Oh my God.
Rachel McAdams remarks that he's seeming more and more grimdark as he wants to talk about.
Sad Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. She's like, do you want to talk about it? And he does talk with her and tells her that he thinks a true warrior wouldn't feel the way he does.
Yeah.
You know, just a light PTSD stuff and the fear of battle, all the normal sociopathic stuff, right, haters?
Yes, just a man who doesn't have any feelings.
Yeah.
Listen, this Ken's job is introspection.
He is Knuff.
Yes.
Anyway, Katrina tells him essentially that he's being an idiot and goes on to explain that he is greater than Aragon, the elves, and even Murtagh, as they all have the power of magic. But Roran goes into battle a normie and still kicks ass.
That's a good point. Like, I remember reading this and being like, yeah, he does.
Yeah, we all need a
Tell him,
partner
girl.
like Katrina,
Yes.
right? That is really it here. But I like these insights into Roran and Katrina. We saw so little and heard so much of Katrina for 2 books, but this hottie is more than meets the eye.
Yes.
I get why Roran would move the world for her. And also, it is weird. I keep getting these weird
I was just about to
chapters.
say that. I was going to say, I love that you'd get all the, like, it's like 3 pages of pillow talk chapters.
It's like
and
the
you're
third
like,
one.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, that does take us to chapter 34, Gloomra. I was very excited to get this chapter.
Yes.
It's kind of an odd aside, but I weirdly just like love it.
Yeah, I will say this, 100% audience, Jacqui legit talked about this chapter more than I think any other chapter. She oddly loves this.
Well, yes.
You-
And we, when we break down stuff to put it in the pod, it's funny because we talk about like, you know, things that obviously are going to be important for the plot or important for the world building or like things that connect with us personally. And I'm like, I just love this. I'm really gonna make a meal out of it.
Buckle up, people. We're diving in.
Yes. So if the name of this chapter was not enough of an indication, we're back with the dwarves. We start here on the shore of a giant lake in a cavern thousands of feet below Trondheim. Dwarven settings strike again, and they really just don't miss.
Yeah.
Yes, Aragon is in the hut of his slain guard's mom, and as she's breaking down at the news of her son's death, we flash back to the moments immediately following the attack. So we like smash cut into the hut and then flash back to figure out how we got here. Aragon immediately had radioed over to Auric, who had him run straight to a safe room and sent his personal guards and spellcasters to investigate the crime scene. And I fucking love the CSI Trondheim we get in this chapter.
It's so good.
Yes, when Auric adjourned that day's clan meet on like vague emergency grounds and arrived to rendezvous with Aragon in the safe room, he said that they need to get to the bottom of the assassination plot before the next day's meeting so they can use the betrayal as leverage in their bid for the throne. And I'm just like, damn, Auric. Not only is he the nicest, most wholesome character, but he's proving to be every bit as pragmatic and savvy as like our Neswadas and Garshbras. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
He's an operator.
Have you ever had a friend that you is super nice, that like almost like chill and calm? They're always like the life of the party, and then you see them one day at work and they're like a killer.
Yes.
And you're like, who the hell is this guy?
Dane, I don't know if you keep bringing these things up on purpose, but I think I too am that friend.
Like, what is going on?
Just put me at a wedding and I'm like, everybody out of my way. No, I'm really nice about it, but
Sure.
no, I do have a couple friends. I went to college up in the Bay Area, and so a few of my friends are like in the tech industry or like in like startup universe. They're very like business oriented, and
Yeah.
they're like these nice girls that like I party with, and we like talk about our feelings, and
Yeah.
then I see them on a work call and I'm like, oh shit, do not put me on that hoe's bad side. She will
is.
kill me.
Yes, I have a teacher friend who
Yes.
is like the most like healthy person I know. Never upset, like always happy,
Yeah.
down to party, very fun. And she's a fun teacher.
Yeah.
But like she does not mess around. It's all business at school.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow.
Fun but fair.
Fun but fair. Yeah.
I like that. Work
That's
hard,
Auric.
play hard. Yes, totally agree. But, you know, he does point out it's not just for king election they need to solve this crime. Auric also thinks that if they don't figure out who's behind the attack, it will almost certainly escalate the already tense situation into full-blown clan war. Like, it'll be go time on
We don't
clan
need
war.
another wall.
No, the one wall is truly plenty, almost arguably too much for them to handle. So Auric also thought Aragon should stay in hiding until the mystery's solved so the attackers wouldn't know whether or not they were successful. And I just love him in this chapter. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
No notes. So evidently, Aragon was doing his level best to stay in the safe room, but he really doesn't make it long watching the detectives like bustling around at work before he is begging to go in person to give his guard's family condolences. And after a couple inquiries, Auric learned that the guard's family was among what the dwarves call the deep dwellers, and he warns Aragon to proceed with extreme caution around these like strange and prickly people. They've like got their own very specific culture, and he's like, Auric basically told Aragon, you could head on down there, but beware, it might be dicey.
I love that there's like a whole subset of dwarves that he's like, ooh.
Don't know about that, but if you want to go, good luck, bud.
Yeah.
No one's coming looking for you down there.
It's like the way Orange County people talk about Inland Empire people.
For real, yes. Yes. So that catches us up to where we started the chapter. Aragon sits in silence, feeling super uncomfortable as Gloomra grieves, when suddenly the dwarven woman gets up, goes to her kitchen, and cuts off the freaking tip of her finger.
Oh, okay, hold on. This is too far in the whole eating meat thing for Aragon.
Gross.
Nobody asked for this snack plate, Aragon.
That's disgusting. No, Gloomra is just doing very off-brand grief.
Deep dwarf stuff.
Yes, dude. She patches up the wound like it's nothing, like basically nothing happened. And Aragon decides, he's like thinking through, should I heal it? Should I stop her from cutting her hand off? But he's like, I think the worst possible thing would be to offend her. So I'm just going to chill here. I think he's probably right.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
yes.
okay.
And so with this ritual complete, Gloomra thanks Aragon for coming in person with the news and asks him who the hell killed her baby. She thinks it must be Aswelden Rock-Annuin, and Aragon gives her a classic, like, can neither confirm nor deny response.
Yeah.
But the rant she goes on is interesting. She asserts that even the dwarves who oppose Aragon and the war would join her in vowing vengeance on these attackers in this case. He replies by telling her he's also promised retribution, but he'll stay his hand to await Auric's judgment on the matter. So this is kind of a mirror of what we got with Sloane. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely think they should die, but I am going to trust in my leader for matters of corporal punishment.
Yes.
And with that, Gloomra retreats to the household altar, grieving and singing with an amulet in her hand until she peacefully declares, like, she just goes on this like wild, like evocative song. She's like howling from the depths of her soul at this altar. And then she just like gets up and very peacefully says, like, my son will dine with Morgothal this night.
That's the reminder. That's the fire brother who hangs with his sky brother, but they are nothing compared to our dirt mother Sindri.
No. They cannot hold a candle to our dirt mommy. So Aragon asks her, he's kind of interested by all this. I think this is one of the things that kind of got me about this chapter, but he asks her how her belief can be so ironclad that she can be this at peace with her son's death.
Yeah.
And her response leaves him longing for like the absolute comfort that religion can bring. But he fears he has too many questions and doubts to buy into any one religion. And he thinks maybe the path for him is to find the scraps of truth from every religion and like knit them into some sort of patchwork. So I think maybe it sounds like we're adding a minor in religious studies to Aragon's degree program. Like
I was thinking more like Russell Brand, like in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, tattoos of every religion.
A little bit. I mean, it has a little bit of a coexist vibe to it, but like
A little bit.
But I think for me reading it in a way, maybe this is part of like just really feeling like this when I was around 17. I went to church a lot growing up. When I was at the age I would have read this book, I was like teaching Sunday school to little kids with my mom. And like,
oh, how far you from?
I know. Sorry, Laura. But I think this was around the age that I was like, okay, there are a lot of things out there and maybe like pieces of all of them maybe make sense.
Yeah.
I've since have moved even further beyond that I'm like, nothing from any of it. But I think at the time I read this really stuck out to me and I really liked it.
I think it is definitely highlighting Aragon's growing to be a person who questions and thinks, and he's a scholar. He wants to know the answers.
Yes, I think so.
Vibe.
Yes. So after Aragon and Gloomra toast to the fallen guard, Gloomra insists that he continue to take shelter with her until Oryx summons him. And I'm just really liking her. She insists on preparing a feast to celebrate her son's life with Aragon and the other guards who fought by his side. So they all come into her stone hut and proceed to do what the dwarves do best, Dane: eat, drink, and carry on raucously.
They're the best, man.
Yes. And while Gloomra seems the liveliest at the party, this was one of the other things in this chapter that I was just like, damn, Aragon, good for you.
Yeah.
He notices that she's really doing her best to honor her son and grieve him by putting on a brave face. He can tell that like her liveliness at the party is really a mask to conceal how much she's hurting. So some serious points, I think, for Aragon in the emotional intelligence department. Like he's really
growing.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
Yes. And they party until the wee hours, and the chapter ends with Oryx's messenger summoning them back and Gloomra bidding Aragon farewell, making sure he remembers his oath of what, Dave?
Vengeance.
Yes. On her son's killers. I liked that chapter.
Do you think Christopher Paolini had like suffered a loss or been to somebody's funeral before doing this since the other two books?
I think I would say this feels very much in line with like what we saw at Ajahad's funeral at the beginning of Eldest, like where Niswada almost was doing a similar thing to
Yeah.
Gloomra. Maybe this is a thing Paolini has about women grieving, but like it's this like singing from the soul, very like very primal kind of ritual, and then followed by like a gathering of oneself. Niswada did exactly that, I think, at Ajahad's funeral. Gloomra's kind of doing it now. So I would say he definitely is interested in this and interested in cultures and rituals overall, but it does seem to be kind of a through line.
Yeah, and just as an aside, we give a Paolini of like flack for how hot every woman is and how they're described. But I will say all of the women in this series are pretty strong ladies.
Yes, for sure.
So this is just more of that. But that we can't focus on that because we have an election to go to.
Yes.
Chapter 35, clan meat. Well, this chapter is very meaty.
Yes.
Aragon would eat it at this point. Aragon arrives back at the safe room, which is full of people Oryx has apparently been busy capturing.
Incredible.
It's amazing. He's
so been busy, dude.
He's so competent.
Yes.
Oryx seems shaken, though, and
Okay.
he sends away all of his guys and tells Aragon that they are on the brink. They are on the brink of war.
Oh, shit.
It's very tense stuff.
Not the wall.
Not the wall. We learned that Oryx found the smith who made the magical daggers.
Okay.
I want his number.
I was just going to say, good start.
Yeah, good start. Let's call him up.
Yeah.
Trace them through an armorer to a woman with 7 fingers on each hand.
Amazing.
Oryx found that woman. Maybe because of the 7 fingers. They're a bit of a
Yes.
tip-off. Anyway.
Tell Gloomra.
Yeah. And she was a member of Durmgripe Snargra.
Okay.
But was not instructed by her clan to make the purchase. She was approached by a middleman type guy who wanted them bought and delivered to a wine merchant.
Ooh, love a shady middleman and a
Yeah.
wine merchant.
This is getting crazy.
Plot has everything.
Then they discovered that the merchant went to none other than, you guessed it, Durmsgribe Ost Swan Och Hanowin. Just, we say it so many times, and yet it never gets easier. But that wasn't enough for Oryx because he's a shrewd man, our
Okay.
best dwarf bro. And
Yes.
so his magicians use a Klezzer spell to trace the assassin's trail from that fight in the tunnel where Aragon was ambushed and found 3 men that are now bound and bloody in a
Ooh.
safe room.
Violent.
Yes, the men are tried to escape or kill themselves, but Oryx got him, and he wasn't nice about it either. He's already used 2 spellcasters to break 2 of their minds for interrogation,
Damn.
and he's kept one completely untouched,
Damn.
so that the other chiefs can question him.
This was definitely one of the scenes where I'm like, I am glad Oryx is our foster brother.
Yeah, he does not mess around.
No.
Turns out that these are clanless dwarfs
Okay.
who were hired by none other than Vermin, the clan leader of Oswalden Rock Onowin.
Yes.
There it is.
Crushed it.
Oryx should have his own detective series
Yeah.
because
Oh my God.
he got this done quick and tidy, and I'm thinking it's called Clan Cases, Deep Tunnels Edition.
Yes.
Yeah.
CSI clan cases.
Yeah.
I am absolutely watching the fuck out of that, especially if Oryx the star. Like,
Especially if we're in it. We got to watch.
yes, enhance.
Yeah. This assassination thing is a pretty big deal.
Yes.
It's really wild.
Yeah.
Oryx thinks this is actually a really good thing for him politically.
Way to find the silver lining, bud.
Yeah, he's great. And he can work out a great punishment for the shitty Veiled clan.
Okay.
And I love it. Oryx is playing stuff close to his chest here. He doesn't
Yeah.
really reveal what's going to happen. And he explains to Aragon that in their culture, attacking a guest is a huge huge deal.
Yes.
And he has a big ask for Aragon. Oric wants him to allow his mind to be inspected by the other clan chiefs for them to see the ambush, through his eyes.
Yes.
Aragon agrees, but Aragon does mention if they strain his memories, he will, quote, burn it out of their minds.
That is wild.
So let's hope that we don't end up with a few Dwarven Garvins out there.
Not a Dwarven Garvin.
Not a Dwarven Garvin. Justice for the
Dwarven Garvin?
the Dwarven Garvins. Justice for Garvin. Remember
Yes,
Garvin, everybody?
we
Anyway.
loved Garvin. Another odd aside that we're like, I just love him. I want to talk about it.
We bring him up a lot. Anyway, Oric and Aragon sleep in the safe room surrounded by guards, and Oric leaves Aragon with a cheery thought that what happens in the next few days will be enough for them to be remembered forever, and whether they win or lose, that's all worth it, because being forgotten after death is the worst thing.
Fuck, Oric.
Nice, Oric. Really setting a chill and relaxed tone.
Yes, I'm really surprised that like our favorite guy doesn't have better sleepover vibes. Like,
Yeah, it's like, good night, bro.
yeah. I wanted pillow fights. I wanted beard braiding.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're getting so morbid.
I don't know. Aragon does not, for some reason, just get back to sleep with that insight.
Weird.
Sten seems to have very vivid nightmares about needing a sword.
Yes, of course.
Wonder why.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, the next day, Aragon has a dwarf sword.
Yes.
Did you know, Jax, that Aragon needs a sword?
I hadn't heard, no.
And if you're annoyed about this in the podcast, just think about reading it.
Presumably you did read it.
Yeah.
Ideally.
One aside here, and I have missed it in previous readings, and I think it shows just how thoughtful Oric is. He asked Aragon to pray to Sindri, the god in the Dwarven pantheon who was made the humans out of dirt. And it's a small and quick, and you have to remember Sindri. We never forgot.
We never forget Sindri.
But it does speak to how Oric is really trying to bring Aragon into the world of the dwarves and treat him as a dwarf, while also very definitely keeping in mind that Aragon is not like biologically a dwarf.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
So just an aside I needed to add in because I think it's cool.
Because you love Oric.
I love Oric. The meeting starts with Genel in charge.
Okay.
We're back now
Yes.
with all the other dwarven
Clan meet.
Yeah, worried about rumors spreading among the dwarfs about all these things that are aloof.
Mm-hmm.
Our hot dwarven mama makes a play here by being the first chief to say they want to hear what's going on.
Get him, girl.
Yeah, Genel basically says evidence of a fight was found in the tunnels with bodies and magic residue all up in there, and he asks what's up, and Oric says he's got the answer. Again, I was like, okay, dude, freaking tell us.
Let's go.
And frankly, I like this guy a lot more in Eldest. He seems
That's true.
not
I
as
miss
great.
like grab a beer. I'm going to tell you about Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I liked him more when Arya was being mean to him. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, he is more than a little miffed about Oric being so secretive and wants to know first and foremost where Oric was when he adjourned the meeting yesterday. And Oric
Yes.
smiles and crushes.
Yes. I'm like, let's go, Oric. It is time.
Yeah, Oric starts his power play wonderfully with a comprehensive review of Dwarven history. He begins where I will begin, with the Dragon War and the inception of the Riders.
Oh, Dane. No.
I'm
We cannot
kidding.
do all of that.
I'm kidding. It won't be long. Pointing out that the dwarves were excluded. They excluded themselves.
Yes.
And their race went on to be political isolationists who most prosperous ages in history were not brought about due to dwarven actions, but
Yes.
rather the riders. When the riders fell, the dwarves again didn't get involved and had no agency for their race as a consequence. Oric basically says that their people are better than those choices, that right now all the races of Alagasia gather to fight Gal, a king who has only spared the dwarfs due to their hiding and isolation, and again they sit and plan to do nothing.
Yeah.
To make matters worse, now that they finally have a writer who has shown the dwarves respect and kindness, who has allowed them to adopt him, who has sworn to avenge Hrothgar's death, who has protected their most beloved city in war, and whose dragon has promised to fix Isidar Mithram, who has even respected Oric as his clan chief, and who is literally everything they could have hoped for short of actually being a dwarf.
Yeah.
And how have these dwarfs repaid this rider? Oric drops the bomb that
How,
someone.
Dane?
Yeah, how?
Tell him, Dane.
I love it.
Tell him, Oric.
I love vengeance through oratory. This is great.
Yes, you really do.
It's great. Oric drops the bomb that someone yesterday tried to kill Aragon. It's a great speech. Again, I would just read this. This is fun. He's the best.
100%. It's such a rousing, rallying, for our pride, for
Yeah.
our culture.
I think I've definitely.
Also, look at this poor boy who almost got assassinated.
I've actually put this on my audiobook
Hell
because the
yeah.
audio reader who reads Oric in this is like It's so
It's
good.
good, yeah.
It's really, really good.
Gerard Doyle.
Gerard
a
Doyle.
legend.
He's a legend, man. Okay, Oric continues on, describing what he found in his investigation. Then he turns on a dime near the end and goes hardcore. Like he goes fucking after Vermin.
Yes.
It's fucking insanity. First, this little baby back bitch, Vermin, denies everything. He sucks. Grow some balls, Vermin. And after all the evidence is given, the clan's magicians check the assassin's minds, and Aragorn gives his testimony with the ancient language oaths and a memory sweep. And no minds were burned out in the making of this true crime documentary. Yeah. And after that, it's over. Vermin is charged with the murder of the guard and an assassination attempt on a guest.
Damn. Oric is crushing it.
Yeah, just like goes for the jugular.
Yes. Also, baby back bitch.
Yeah. Total baby.
There's nothing funnier.
You've heard it here first. Vermin is a baby back bitch. Vermin tries some trickery by saying if Aragorn really is a dwarf, by law, he isn't a guest. Little bitch. Sorry, I hate this guy.
Yes.
But the lawmakers step in. They actually have like lawmakers there.
Okay.
And that fucking ploy just doesn't work.
Amazing.
So Vermin throws a Hail Mary and he says he will start a clan war if anyone attacks or arrests or even talks shit on this whole dust up. And the other clan chiefs start to get mad. There's rabble rousing. And one brings up that if he had succeeded, Saphira would have attacked them with all the fury of a dragon.
That could not possibly be more true.
Yes.
She thought to herself just chapters ago, I will unleash fire and fury upon those who, and you're like,
with no context.
yes.
Yeah.
Knowing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So, whoever that clan chief is, points for you, bud. You really understand dragons.
Totally. And then Oric pulls the best move ever. He goes, okay, I propose we banish the entire clan from our hearts and minds until they choose to replace their chief, apologize to the clan meet, and formally admit what they did. It's an amazing workaround to not starting a clan war, and its origins as a traditional dwarven punishment make it a huge cultural blow.
Yeah.
They vote to do it almost instantly and unanimously, and add one more piece, that the clan may come back when they do as has been asked.
Okay.
But also when Vermin is like totally sent out. He's never got the ability to be unbanished.
Okay. So they basically, Oric is like, get rid of this entire clan the way that we often will punish just one dwarf with banishment. And everybody's like, yes. And they have to fully disown Vermin. They have to fully apologize and take responsibility.
Yeah.
And then the clan members can come back, but Vermin never, ever can.
Never can.
Damn.
And they tell him, then they like instantly tell Vermin to leave. And they get they eerily start to ignore him.
Yes, this like definitely got the creep
It's
level
weird,
high.
yeah. Vermin yells and screams, but they just ignore him. He eventually attacks someone, but the guards like pull him away without reacting emotionally.
Yes.
As if he doesn't exist.
Yes.
And being even cooler, and it's just the best ever. Oric goes on. And he's like, I say we call for a vote before the vote.
I think we're ready. I think now is time.
I think now's the time for me. And they say get a unanimous yes.
Yes.
Oric is the best. Then this guy, a man after my own heart, wants to party.
Yes.
Yeah.
What the dwarves do best.
Yeah, so great. And this chapter ends as he reminds Aragorn to call Saphira to come for the coronation, because whether or not he wins, it's happening, baby.
Yes, I did love just that very end tidbit when he's like, well, we can go party, but Aragorn, you have to do one thing, and I can't believe you've forgotten. And Aragorn's like kind of horrified. He's like, oh shit, what do I have to do now? And he's like, go call Saphira, bitch. And Aragorn's like, yeah.
Get your girl.
Yes, he like sprints out. It is so nice.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
But chapter 6, Insubordination, is going to see us wait a little longer for election night in Trondheim, because the last chapter we're going to do this episode picks up back with Roran eating dirt. I have not made this update. We start this chapter with Stronghammer getting a little lick of that sweet, sweet soil, judging its capacity to grow crops, and reminiscing about Palancar Valley. That is just literally something he does in the text.
Cool.
But he's pulled from this weird fucking reverie at a shout from his new captain, Edric, and we learn that Roran is not a fan of Redbeard's replacement here.
I mean, his first manager was the coolest guy in the book series, so that makes sense.
Tough to start on such a high note. Yeah. Luckily, his boy Karn is still by his side, because their new mission is daunting. Naswada has sent this company to rout out a pretty substantially sized force that Galbatorix sent into Serta to pillage, like behind the Varden lines, as the rebels make their way further into the Empire. So I'm like, ooh, this is dicey war shit. Yeah. It's a pretty good move on Gal's part, but we don't like to see it.
He's doing a good job. And actually, really quick, that reminds me of The Laughing Dead.
Yes.
I was going to say something, but this fits. Not only are they like doing raids now. But the Laughing Dead is a strategy that I think only works for Galbatorix because he has so many more troops.
Yes.
So he doesn't care.
They're deeply expendable, and if he can milk every last, literally every last drop of blood out of them, essentially, he's gonna do that.
Yeah, the damage to the Varn's worth it. I think Roran was right. It's not worth it. But you're right.
Yes.
Galbatorix has turned it up in this book.
For sure. A couple very scary tactical moves. I guess this reads to me like, oh shit, you hate your villains to be competent, to be good at stuff and make the stakes high, make things scary. And it's looking like as they're rolling up on this raiding force of Galbatorix's, it looks like the site of the battle is going to end up being a small village. So after watching the villagers flee from their homes before these approaching enemies, Roran and Karn prepare for their attack. And I love to read their dynamic. They're very fun. They joke a little bit back and forth.
I love this duo.
Yes, but just as Roran is trying not to be triggered by memories of being forced from his own small village, he sees a group of the Imperial scum drag a family from their home into the street. This poor family was trying to hide. And when Roran sees the enemy leader decapitate one of the villagers, it's on. They're like, we gotta take all these dudes out.
Wait a minute. Why would he be mad about that if he's a sociopath?
I really didn't understand his characterization here because it just seems so off-brand for him to care about the common folk and relate people's experiences to his own hurts and pains.
So
definitely not something he does all of the time.
Ugh.
So Roran is playing lieutenant here. I'm moving along. Roran is playing lieutenant on this raid, and at Edric's command, he charges in at the front of his portion of the company.
And Jax, I think what you mean is that he is the assistant to the regional manager.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
We're on the executive track. But as Roran hears something amiss leading his men to a flanking position, he just makes this harrowing game time decision. He defies his order to attack and tells his men to take cover in the hair's breadth of a second before the Empire unleashes a volley of crossbow bolts that would have slaughtered almost all of his dudes. So I love it's a little spine tingling, suspenseful. He's like, no, take cover. And then we see this rush of armor piercing crossbows. And with the bare protection of just a few houses, Roran frantically thinks of one of his signature harebrained schemes to get his men out of this serious bind. He tells the soldiers to take their bows, cram themselves onto the roofs, and wait for his signal to unleash sniper hell on the Imperial force in this town, which is fucking cool. Then he gathers the 20 best fighters in his company to himself to ambush under the cover of this fire. So it's a good, again, tactically good plan.
Doing good stuff.
Yes, and the strategy works like a charm. His strike force is able to fight their way through to where Edric's men are being besieged by the enemy. So I'm just damn, Roran. He gets all the way through this town. His guys are still up on the roof. Roran gathers everyone back behind the cover of the houses while his snipers continue picking people off. And Edric is grateful for Roran's rescue, but still inexplicably pissed that Roran's defied orders. So he takes half the men to regroup, sends Roran with the other half to pull his snipers down and mount another attack, even though at this point they're absurdly outnumbered. The odds look bad, and Edric is just doubling and tripling down on his original plan for no reason.
I do not like this
I don't
guy.
like this guy.
If we thought Vermin was a little bitch.
Dude, Edric is.
Yeah.
I mean, a taller bitch, but he's still a little bitch in his heart.
Yeah.
So Roran collects himself and rallies his men to the task at hand, but he again refuses to just obey Edric's orders outright. He won't bring all the men to charge to their deaths, and he says he will take responsibility for executing his own plan in defiance of his commanders. So he has the bulk of his force continue sniper service. He's like, this is working. I struck gold.
Yeah.
Stop digging. And he has Karn ward him and 10 select fighters so the crossbow bolts can't kill them.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he's maybe learned a little something from the Laughing Dead, charging in with men who don't need to be afraid of their foe's worst attack. He's like, if these crossbow bolts are the problem, just make sure those don't hit us, Karn, and we're gonna get going.
And I love this because while he's being clever, Karn has made a ward that doesn't stop them. It just lightly pings them away.
Yes.
So that he can do so many people.
Yes.
Both of these guys, this duo is great.
Yes.
They're great duo.
Yes, and they're definitely feeding off each other, amping each other up. I love it. So
they're just great idea, high five,
yeah. I think Roran even like really helps Karn to focus. He's like staring deeply into the spellcaster's eyes, being like, "You can do this, bud," because he's having some trouble with the magic. So they're even like actively helping each other to do their best skill.
You're absolutely right. It's
yes.
dope.
So Roran sets up this barricade in the street, gets his archers in place, takes his men out to taunt the huge force of remaining soldiers into trying to escape the town past him. His insults are hilarious, absolutely worth a reread. 1,000 rereads. They're very funny. And he even reveals his identity to goad the Empire's troops into attacking, which is kind of insane to me. So when 30 men finally rush Roran, his archers get to work as he gives an epic speech to rally his fellow fighters to beat the odds stacked against him.
Yeah.
And Roran is a fucking maniac here. When his merry little band survives the first like 3-on-1 onslaught of bad odds, he bursts out laughing with the joy of defending Katrina and his baby. And you're like, Jesus, dude.
I think he's a little insane.
He's a little bit insane.
He goes a little wild.
He's not a sociopath, but he's definitely a little insane.
He definitely got a touch of the rage in him.
For sure. He then proceeds to have his men make a wall out of the slain Imperial soldiers to funnel the fresh charge of 100 more soldiers to attack. Now they'll have to attack a few at a time.
Yeah.
And again, it fucking works.
Wild.
Yes. This battle is gruesome as hell, with Roran fighting from the top of a wall of bodies and the enemies climbing the corpses of their comrades to engage him. Notably, I felt very bad for you, Dane. Snowfire sustains a couple of stab wounds before Roran sends them. I was like genuinely worried. I was like,
isn't this 3 days after
Brahms, baby?
Yeah, isn't this 3 days after he swore to protect Snowfire?
Yes, dude. And it's like, you were mad at Aragon for losing your staff. If you get his horse killed,
It was stabbed.
yes, I think Aragon will kill him for real.
Hilarious.
But Roran sends Snowfire away to safety, so
that's good.
He's looking out for his boy, and he continues fighting for hours through grievous wounds and utter exhaustion until the Empire soldiers are wiped out to a man. Every last one of them.
So cool.
It's fucking crazy. His company definitely came through with some clutch assists, catching enemies with their arrows, spears, and an occasional sword. But at the end of the fight, Karn shouts that Roran single-handedly murdered 193 soldiers. It's bonkers.
It's not revenge, but it makes me feel.
It scratches that itch for you.
I have award tinglies inside my heart.
That tracks, yeah. Roran is an absolute beast. His men gather around him, praising these superhuman feat they just witnessed. And I love, there's one guy who's like, "Damn, Saphira really picked right, because the genes in your family are feral. Your bloodline is insane." And Roran grudgingly allows Karn to heal the worst of his wounds. And if the fight scene was insane, the resolution of this chapter also is insane in just a very different way. After everything that just happened, Edric punishes Roran for insubordination. Hello, chapter title.
I mean, none of my managers have liked when I've killed 193 men at work. So
Dane, we said we weren't talking about the murders on the podcast. We're recording.
Oh. Kevin, keep it quiet, Kevin.
Be cool,
Be
Kevin.
cool, Kevin.
So
Clearly, I was joking, Kevin.
A notable joke.
Yeah.
The men who fought with Roran immediately jump to his defense here, essentially offering to overthrow Edric if Roran says the word.
It's not great.
No, but Roran urges them to stand down, accepting his fate, promising to return to the Varden as a prisoner, and handing his weapons over to his captain. And this writing is good, because I'm genuinely pissed. Reading this, I'm like, what the fuck do you mean he's going to be a prisoner? We learn that Roran just lost 9 of the 81 men who had been under his command, while Edric and the other lieutenant, who's dead, of course, lost nearly 150 soldiers between them. So I'm just saying, we like metrics in this corporation.
Well,
and I think I think Roran has the deliverables to prove he should be in charge here.
That is true. I do think, though, this is one of those things where it's like, you can't, this is an army, though. You know what I mean? It's one of those, it's one of those rules. As a kid, I was like, I did not understand this. As an adult, now I'm like, man, this sucks, because you're right. He did the right thing.
Yes.
100%.
No, it's one of those things where I understand why it has to be this way now. I mean, I think we'll probably get to that when we go over, Neswata's reaction to it, all of that.
Yeah.
Like it does make sense,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make it any less infuriating,
Oh, no,
which is why I
it's-
like this writing.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
very
oh,
good.
You're so mad on behalf of your baby boy Stronghammer.
Yeah, it sucks when you're trapped by the, intricacies of
Bureaucracy. Red tape, process and procedures, best practices.
Yes, exactly.
So after Edric's company buries their dead, loots the corpses of the Empire, and burns all the Empire's dead, Roran and his shitty new boss prepare to head back to await Neswata's judgment on the matter. And in one bright spot for this wrap up, Snowfire comes back.
Oh, yay!
And it seems like he's going to make a full recovery. He's fucking fine.
Well, we have already got over. Snowfire is
The best horsey.
Well, is also got to be magic or something because
Yes.
she can run.
Yes. An impeccable display of horse flesh.
Yeah. There it is, Jacqui. You've come around.
You're so welcome. It only took how many episodes? But this chapter and this episode summaries end with the company headed back for home as Roran resolves that he won't regret making what he knows was the right choice, no matter what happens
Good
to
for
him.
you.
I know. So things aren't looking great for Stronghammer. And to be honest, they aren't looking great for me either as we head
no.
into this episode's analysis.
It's time for analysis.
Dane, for the second time in podcast history, I regret to inform you that I just do not have a unifying theme for this section of chapters. We obviously have some very fun action for both Roran and Aragon, and we're getting a serious ramp up of the political machinations in this world, so it isn't like nothing's happening here by any stretch.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing like a through line that's connecting the characters and plot points in this particular section.
Yeah.
I promise I'll be back with some serious shit in our next episode. I'm going to do my due diligence, make up for lost time, or at least some fun and goofy shit. But for this one, the themes are eluding me, sadly. But before we get into your deep dive, I want to mention just one thing that I think falls under analysis purview. It's not a theme, but it is a writing device, and it's the use of flashbacks in this book. I've just been noticing it on this reread, and it sticks out to me because it does feel like something Christopher Paolini wasn't doing very much in Aragon and Eldest, especially not in the very specific way I keep seeing it in this book. We keep opening chapters on a bit of a time jump for the POV character before flashing back to the events between where we left them and where the chapter started. It's happened several times in this book. It's how the whole book started with Roran and Aragon on Revenge Eve, and we've seen it several times since. It's not really a device that typically belies anything for the story necessarily. Like it doesn't mean anything. It's not like any type of specific foreshadowing, but I do think it's an interesting way that Christopher Paolini's writing is changing and evolving here, which is half the fun, I think, of sticking with an author over an entire series.
Yeah, he's definitely growing.
Yes, I think so. Like his writing is changing, it's maturing in ways. We keep speculating on like
what's going on,
what life experiences he may have had between books, because some of the things do feel informed by maturing and changing and like getting different hobbies and interests and girlfriends. That's a conspiracy theory of mine. So are you ready to get into your deep dive, because you're a star student and not a slacker like me?
I'm definitely ready to get into my deep dive.
Yes.
Deep dive.
No, totally okay about the analysis.
I know.
Sometimes, it just doesn't line up, I think. The way we do this, I think every now and then it's going to happen. So
Yes, I think so too.
I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But I want to dive deeper than the deep dweller, Jax, and dig into some truly awesome Dwarven gems. First, it's a quick overview of the doors. This will be as deep as what we get in the text, but frankly, this isn't everything I'd like to know about the doors because they are fun as hell.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this is all I have for the moment.
I mean, they birthed our boy Auric. What could be more fun than diving deep with the dwarves?
They can't miss.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have alliteration.
Yes. There are 13 Dwarven clans, 1 clan to rule and 12 clans to support their king.
Yes.
There's a joke in there somewhere. It seems that the major function of each clan is distinct and supposed to keep unity by not creating competition between the clans. So each clan has a commercial focus, from stonemason to agriculture and so on.
Yes. We love bureaucracy.
I love it. We know that 5 of the clans are named after the 5 species of giant animals that are native to the Bior Mountains. One of the clans is religiously focused, Ganel, and runs a church for the other other dwarfs, and one of the clans is focused on combat prowess.
Okay.
For sure.
Yes, love to see it.
Yeah, the five native species are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention them here.
I do like them.
Yeah.
I feel like we get bits and pieces kind of throughout the series,
Yeah.
but we're like, wait, is that one the boar one or is that one the...
Yeah. Is that a giant wolf? So there's the Hald,
Yes.
which are the giant cave bears the size of
hell yeah.
houses.
That's right.
The Shurg, which are the horse-sized wolves.
Horse-sized?
Yeah, they're
Oh,
horse-sized.
shit, I did not realize
They're
that.
they're huge.
Wild.
There's Fanghur, which are the flying wyverns that we saw use physical and mental screeches in Eldest.
Yes.
There's the Feldenost, which are the giant goats 3 times the size of a regular goat.
Yes.
So also kind of horse-sized.
Okay, yeah.
And finally, the Nagra, which are boars larger than horses. A lot of
lot of-
horse-sized. Horse facts.
I was just about to say that. I was like, all your size references are horses.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Horse Facts
Horse
Guy.
facts guy.
The more you know.
From the makers of Feldenost are horses. All right. Anyway, a little fact before I move on to the non-clan stuff is a clan-specific tidbit we learned at Eldest that's pretty cool.
Okay.
The elf Runin that made all the rider blades was taught her craft by a dwarven smith named Furthark.
That's right.
Yeah,
Futhark.
Futhark.
Futhark?
Futhark?
No.
One of the great dwarves of Ulrich and Erga. We love the dwarfs. Their names we struggle with.
Tough look. Listen, it's
Yeah.
a lot of accent marks. It's
Yeah.
a lot of...
All that to say, he's one of the great Durmsgeist and Jedum dwarfs.
That's right. I had completely forgotten about that. That
Yeah.
is cool.
Now, I also wanted to cover the Dwarven election as it's happening, and it might have been a little confusing on what was going on.
Okay.
So the election process seems to work like this. Once an existing king dies, their clan votes on a replacement for that clan chief.
Okay.
Because, you have to be a clan chief to be a king.
Yes.
So once the replacement is picked, all 13 clan chiefs meet, and each one gets a moment to make a case for why they should be king.
Okay.
Then the clan meet is also time for them to work out as equals to discuss various clan matters and disputes while none of them is the leader.
I like that feature of it. That kind of like didn't sink in as something specific, I think, on previous reads.
Kinda
But I'm like,
cool.
that's really smart.
Yeah. While this goes on, campaigning for the throne is done in private for each candidate to win
Yes.
clans and factions to their side. Once a candidate feels like they have the votes to be elected ruler, they can move to bring the clans to vote that they're ready to vote for being the king.
Yes, incredible.
Yeah, this is just a preliminary vote for readiness, not the vote for the king itself.
Yes.
Once 9 of the 13 clans vote yes, a date is set to vote for king.
Okay.
In this case, it was 3 days.
Yes.
After much more intense negotiations for support, everyone votes on the new ruler, with the victor being the dwarf with the most votes.
Yes.
There shouldn't be a tie, as there are 13 clans, and I think this is super cool, and I kind of want more Dwarven politics, as it looks like this part of the book will be wrapping up next week.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I think here we do have the option for a tie technically, right?
Yeah.
Because we only have 12 clans voting.
Oh, yeah, there normally shouldn't be, but
Yes.
right now we're in a bit of a different... That's nice.
Yeah.
Look at that. We also know, I did not even think about that. Horse facts. No, wait, that's the wrong.
Dwarfs facts.
Yeah, there we go. We also know quite a bit about the dwarfs' religion. Some might say enough for its own deep dive.
Oh.
If you're interested in information, we can either be here for a few more hours, or you can go back and listen to season 2, episode 3.
I will take that second option.
But with that, I want to get into the story of the Star Sapphire. We do hear about this massive red rose-shaped gem that was used to fill the main hall of Trondheim before Arya broke it.
Right, yes.
She really hates them doors, am I right? Just kidding.
Arya.
It was a cool move of hers
Yes.
because it allowed her to save Aragon and allowed Aragon to kill Durza way back in the first book.
Yes.
And it is clearly a cornerstone of the Dwarven's lore and culture, so let's cover and hear about
Yes.
what was in this chapter.
I always bring this up just because it was so funny to me, but it is so important to them that Hrothgar was like, better we all died that day than the Star Sapphire was broken. I have no reason to rule my people or continue living
Right.
while it's broken.
He's like, we did win the war, but maybe we should have lost it.
yes, truly wild.
Yeah, it's
That's
wild.
the stakes
Yes.
of this bad boy.
They love their gems.
Yes.
The Star Sapphire was carved by Durak Orthrond, who devoted 57 years of his life to make this beautiful piece of art. But it's not just any piece of art.
Oh.
No, Jax. Not just a humble piece of art, but something that would touch your very soul to look upon it.
like our podcast.
Yeah, a masterpiece. He was so freaking obsessed with this project, like Roran and his focus on Katrina, but very much unlike Roran, when faced with an ultimatum from his wife to either share the workload a bit so he'd get home and spend more time with her,
Yes.
or be left. This insane man chose the gem.
It's a bit much.
Yeah. Also, he did it in a jerk way.
Oh.
He didn't even say anything.
He didn't leave his wife in a nice way?
No, he just turned his shoulder to her and
Damn.
kept working.
Savage.
Insane. But also, good for you, lady, for having boundaries.
Yes, fantasy.
Yeah. Anyway, after finishing this massive project, Duroc stepped back, declared it complete, and immediately died. Probably because he was tired and old. But they say in Dwarven circles that it's because he didn't have anything left to live for.
That tracks with what we know about the dwarves.
I think it is maybe because this guy was dramatic and he could have survived if he had his wife to live for.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, that's the story, and I love you, Dylan. And that's all I have to say about that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I do like that story a lot. I'm like, oh, they have some lore about this crazy fucking guy.
fucking
This is
wild.
like the level of dedication you need to
Yeah.
to be a gem carver.
Wild.
Yeah.
So this deep dive was kind of all over the place, but the doors are really cool.
Yes.
I'm glad we had to spend some time reading about
Yeah.
them, and I didn't feel any hate. But you know who did?
Who
The
always
haters.
feels hate Dane.
Yeah.
Actually, you should do your research, huh? Have you even read it? That's how you pronounce it.
What are the haters saying?
There's an index in the back,
no,
right?
this is a really derivative.
For what are the haters saying? We're going to go back to the haters. And I had a nice little vacation with them last episode.
I know, you're looking refreshed.
Yes.
I thought maybe you'd had some plastic surgery.
I-
But
I-
just a vacation.
Just a vacation from haters. They have a very common complaint that I bet anyone reading along could guess.
Yes.
It's been on Reddit, various sporkings, anti-Aragon websites, and the many other places that these haters lurk. And let me tell you, it is a lot of anger.
Oh, damn.
What has made the haters so riled up, you would ask?
I literally would ask. I have no idea. I feel
Well-
great.
Well, it's Roran killing 193 men, of course.
Oh.
How is
that.
this possible? They screech into the wind.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So first, let's break down the issue they have. They claim that it is impossible for a man to have 193 fights with 1 to 3 men at a time and still survive,
Allegedly.
especially with how wounded Roran is throughout the fight.
That's just like your opinion, man.
And you know what, haters? You are right. It is impossible.
Yeah, fine.
No man can kill 193 trained soldiers one-on-one that many times or 3-on-1 ever.
Yes.
So, on top of all that, they argue Roran used a sword or hammer against the longer, more superior weapon of the spear. Or they ask, why on earth would so many soldiers line up and die like that? Or finally, they point out that Roran is a farmer, and these are trained soldiers.
Yes.
Which gets to my response. And it might not be what you think, haters. I promise I won't go on about the mechanics of like the body wagon funnel
God.
or his high ground on Body Mountain or the wards from Aragon and Karn, nor will I harp on the fact that all of these soldiers are ancient language bound to follow orders
Yes.
and thus probably couldn't just flee.
Yeah.
And I'll resist the urge to say that most of them aren't highly trained as they are conscripts. Remember that, haters? And I'm certainly not going to get into any other arguments about the fight because you have heard them all online.
Yeah.
And you don't agree. It's not enough for you,
Okay.
haters. So I think after 2.5 seasons of doing this segment,
Yes.
I find that the biggest single issue for a lot of the haters in general is believability.
Okay.
It isn't believable to a lot of the haters that one man can kill that many enemies.
Okay.
And my response might be unsatisfying, but bear with me, haters. Haters, hi, it's Dane. It's me, your old pal. It isn't believable to have dragons, guys, or Urgles, or shades, or elves, or even dwarves in the story. It's not believable to have magic, or be bound by magical languages, or be able to communicate brain to brain, especially between humans and animals. And don't even get me started on how unbelievable it is to have immortal beings with innate magical and superhuman strength. All right, none of it's believable. So the defense for Roran's fight not being very realistic or believable isn't very satisfying.
Yeah.
Because the hate breaks down when you look at other books in the genre that do this all the time, but rarely get as much hate as Roran in the Inheritance Cycle. I wonder if we take every fantasy and science fiction book and look at all of the fight scenes within them, if it isn't almost always the case for these characters.
Yes. Be a lot of violence.
Be kind of fun. But take Darrow and Red Rising, that trilogy. When evaluated by his believability to survive most of his fights,
Yes.
especially early on, like first book,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. And if you think about Harry Potter, kids, against truly any of the Death Eaters.
Yeah, just full-blown adult wizards.
Yeah, or what about every battle in Star Wars where the stormtroopers can't kill a single person,
A classic.
even though they're completely surrounded and using guns?
Yes. Yep.
Or we have Wheel of Time when Matt beats two of the best swordsmen on the planet with a fucking stick,
We love to see it.
2-on-1, and sick.
Yes.
Or maybe if you like Stephen King, we can talk about that time in Dark Tower where Roland kills an entire village, every man, woman, and child without a scratch
Yes, on his own with 2 6-shooter guns.
while injured.
Yeah.
I just, much like past hater segments, this topic seems really unfair to me for the volume of hate it gets.
Yes.
It's not so much the unbelievability. I get that.
Yeah.
It's the amount of hate,
Yes.
which really just connects with the amount of hate this series gets as a whole.
Yes.
If this takes you out of the narrative while you're reading, it's totally understandable. If you think it's over the top, I totally understand that too. But the hate seems pretty outsized.
Yes.
And on top of that, we have mentioned in previous episodes, there is a lot of hate for Aragon doing very little,
Yes.
or not having morals befitting a hero, or just being whiny and so on. And I'll get to that, I swear. Just a few more episodes.
Wait it out,
haters.
haters. Sweat it out.
But then those same people seem to also have a problem with Roran doing something of mythic proportions.
Yeah.
This is heroic, it's epic, and some might even say fantastical. He goes against orders to save his unit and keep his men alive. It's cool. It's
Yes.
a strong hammer.
Yes.
So I guess I have trouble here with our sweet, sweet haters seeming to want things both ways with the heroes in this fantasy book.
Yes.
And on that point, I will end. But if you're
Okay.
wondering, Christopher Paolini answered this in a 2018 AMA.
cool.
He actually answered this.
Yes,
So-
Chris.
yeah.
Tell him, Chris.
So here's what Paolini said, quote, about Roran. Throughout history, there are plenty of people who have done things that would seem ridiculous or over the top, even in a movie. I was reading a couple of books on the history of warfare at the time, and some of the documented feats by various warriors over the ages are really, truly incredible. Musashi is one of the most famous examples. So I firmly believe that Roran's feats are well within the bounds of possibility, and also just as firmly believe that most everyone would believe they are exaggerated to a ridiculous degree. And
Thanks. Thanks, book dad.
yeah, thanks, Chris. I'm not going to expand on that.
Yeah.
I think it speaks for itself. And with that, that is where I end today. I can't win with you haters and your hate, especially when we have the strong hammer. I'm not doing it.
No.
And Oryx cool here. I want to
Yes.
focus on that. So
Yes.
I'm done. Be gone. Go back to your caves and crevices.
How many places have you banished the haters to so far
I don't
this
know.
season?
I always start out with like, come here, bye. Come. It's like,
Be gone.
be gone.
In an accent, no less.
Yes, I have to. I don't know why.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like Gandalf. You shall not pass. I'm
Well,
just-
hold on to that energy to tell
Yeah.
me how you feel about this episode section of chapters.
This is so cool.
Yes.
I like this section of chapters. I think sometimes when I think about this book, this section of chapters to me feels like there's not a lot going on. Just because we have the politics and that can sometimes drag. But when I'm reading it, when I'm in it,
Yes.
I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening?
This
There's an
is
assassination
wild.
attempt? Oh my gosh. Roran's killing 100 people. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, it's definitely something I feel like I got a lot of evolution on between reads, for sure. I think as a kid, I maybe sidelined a lot of the political stuff and really remember this like wild action scene. Obviously, I mean, it's fun to read. Maybe I'm a violent sociopath too, who's to say, but like,
Of course.
it's fun to read a crazy battle scene. But I think
Yeah.
as an adult, like that is still very fun to read. I mean, you heard me describe it. I loved it.
In great detail.
Yes. But I also really like the dwarven politics. I love the like murder investigation of it all. Maybe just this country's obsession with true crime got to
Yeah.
me between reads.
Well-
and now I'm like, yes, give us the investigation.
Well, also, it's this series is kind of turning to the point where, early Roran was starting out. A lot of
Yeah.
mistakes, a lot of doubt.
Yes.
That's kind of gone.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're seeing a competent Roran who now has confidence in himself.
Yes, and his decision making
Is
too.
quick.
He's like, I know what the right thing is. And I think in a lot of ways, he also has found confidence in his moral compass. It's something he struggled a lot with.
Yeah.
All the way through Eldest, I would say.
Yeah.
That he really felt the guilt of what he was doing to the people of Carbajal, really
Yes.
felt the weight of all the decisions he was making. And I think here we're seeing, and in several points of this book, he's like, I know what the right choice is and I'm going to make it. And I need to work within myself to like handle the regrets, the consequences, the guilt, whatever may come of it. Like, I know I'm doing the right thing, and I know I'm doing it for a noble, good reason, to protect my family, to protect my
right.
people.
That's all crystallized.
Yes.
And on the other hand, Auric, who in Eldest is kind of a joke character, you know, he's always drunk, he's sad, he's like angry to be with the elves, you know, he's fun because he like yells at them.
Yes, he's very much comic relief in that book, I think.
Yes, and then in Aragon at the end, he's this like comforting character who we're like, oh, this guy's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But he's also intense, you know, I think we forget that. He tells Aragon, like he tests Aragon whether he's going to have food brought up all the way to the top of the mountain. He goes at it with the twins without fear.
Yes.
Ajahad politically maneuvers him to be the butler of like Aragon during that time. So all of that, you know, told us something about Auric, but we didn't get a lot. So in this book, seeing Auric be both that fun guy, that fun, nice guy, but also the competent guy we saw back in 1 come together, I think is also fun. You know,
I am on pins and needles for this election because I hope our boy pulls it out.
We do not know because we have not read this before.
No, there's no way to know. But it definitely, I think I'm with you there. I think we get so much more characterization from Auric here, obviously. And he's such a fun character. You can't help but like love this section of chapters and love seeing him on screen. Love the bond between him and Aragon too. Like, I feel like that's kind of an underrated part of this. Like, and it's funny because Aragon's so frustrated, but throughout it, you're like, dude, this is your boy. And like, look at how comfortable you are around him. Like, he's able to talk to Auric almost the way he does with like Saphira, Arya, Neswata.
Roran,
you know, he like really lets his feelings and opinions and, you know,
come out.
Yes. With Auric.
And I think, you know, I do also think it highlights how difficult maybe it is to be a friend of Aragon. And I think Auric handles that well here.
I think so.
I think
that's a good point.
Aragon, just by the nature of who he is going to be a hard person to kind of like deal with, let alone that he's a teenager listening to his like, you know, earphones while you're talking to him. But I think Auric handles all of this well. I mean, it shows true understanding of Aragon.
Yes.
You know, when Aragon gets mad about like, are you threatening me? You know, last section of chapters.
Yes, Auric is like,
dude, what are you talking about? But
he's so calm the way he handles it because he's like, this kid has been through so much and he never knows who to trust. Like, he could be so seriously fucked at every turn. Like, Auric really, I think, has internalized and understood a lot of that about Aragon. I think that is a really good point.
Thanks. But I also think that that would be scary.
Yes.
If Aragon was like, are you threatening me? I mean, just think about who he is.
Yeah.
Auric doesn't like go into that. And you're right. I think that is cool.
Yeah.
But I think we could talk about Auric for another hour.
You're probably right.
So let's do that, but just off the show.
Yes, that's fair. I do think that's a good note to leave it on. Very happy, very hopeful.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening. Make sure to rate and review, especially on Apple Podcasts. Support on Patreon and check out our social media at Is This Just Fantasy Pod on TikTok or at Just Fantasy Pod on Instagram. If you have any questions or just want to write to us about the podcast, we would love to hear from you. And you could email us at isthisjustfantasypod@gmail.com.
Yes, if you have any hatred for Auric in your heart, do not forget that email.
Yeah, we would love to read it.
We don't want to hear it.
Oh, no, we don't.
I don't want to hear that.
Take it back.
Don't write to us. If you want to keep pace and read along with us, on the next episode, we will be covering Chapter 37, Message in a Mirror, through Chapter 43, Among the Clouds.
I believe I could fly.
It's just fantasy. We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. Come on and listen to us next time. Find out what our deep dive will be. Thanks for catching our show.
There it is, Kelly. 5. You can do it. The body.
Sir?
Squeeze the glutes. Oh,
Galbatorix,
God.
sir. Sir?
I am on the reformer.
Oh,
This is Pilates time.
I can see that your class with Tracy is really putting you through it today.
She works me hard,
I
like one of
love-
the torturers of my own.
I love that about Tracy. I just want to say I'm proud of you for persevering through this difficult class.
You know, it's fantastic. She knows so much. You know, the Drasli, the temple she's from, she has no arms or legs. You think Pilates would be hard, but she's great at it. Great at it.
We all love that about Tracy, sir, though I have come with a...
Get out of here, Tracy. She can't talk. She's got no tongue. Get out of here, Tracy. I like that about her, too. She just kind of mumbles at me. Anyway, what did you need?
Yes, that, sir. I have come with a bit of an update.
Haven't I murdered you before? You're only bad news. A little bad news Betty over here.
Well, things don't seem to be going great lately, sir. I don't really know.
Is it the mission accomplished banner? Is that done yet?
You know, that does seem to be posing a bit of a problem.
Why?
Well, we've run out of lace with which to make it. and in addition to that, for some reason, I think maybe Mercury's in retrograde or...
Oh, yes, I heard that. But I am an Aquarius, so it's fine.
I think that makes it particularly bad.
Really? Tracy was full of thoughts on that. She didn't seem to say much about
What did she grunt about it?
She was grunting about it, and it's you wouldn't understand.
Oh, sorry.
I'm an ancient man.
Oh, that's true. You don't look a day over 98, though, sir. I have always said so.
I appreciate that.
I think it's all the Pilates.
Of course. I did 78 over here just before you came in.
Well, before you lose the endorphins, sir, I just wanted to let you know.
Get to it.
You remember that raiding party you sent behind enemy lines into Serta? You know, attack them from the back, classic strategy. One of your finer.
I love it. Underhandedness at its best.
Yes. I was so impressed by that, and yet
Yes?
it would seem
What?
those 500 fine,
Come on.
enslaved and coerced and drafted soldiers, you know?
I mean, there was a few who were into it, you know?
Yes, that's true. They did behead somebody in that town.
Yes. I love that. That's
They
initiative.
seemed excited about it. So,
10 shoulders above the competition, if you will.
so that's the good news.
Yes.
The bad news is there are no more of our 500 men. No more.
What happened? Is
All
it
gone.
Arag- is
All
it-
dead.
Was it Aragon?
The bean farmer wasn't there. That's good news.
That's good. All right, so it was overwhelming odds against dwarves or elves or something.
Not exactly, sir. Pretty small force of Varden with... You know, the company included the brother cousin, the hammer man. It was, I heard somebody say it was
Wait.
hammer time,
Wait,
sir. I'm
shush,
sorry.
Shush. The strong hammer. This guy?
Yes.
All right, can you be honest with me?
I don't think so. I will try. It does scare me, though.
Yes, that's good. That's good. It should scare you a little bit. Or a lot of it. Regardless. Strong, do you believe this? I mean, at some point, this is propaganda. This can't be real. A human with no abilities
I
killed
guess-
200 of my men?
You know, I think we were in the same town once, and I remember the experience, sir. He's got a pull of charisma like Tom Cruise, that strong hammer.
Oh, he probably sprints too. He's probably a sprinter.
Oh, it's a lot of sprinting, sir. He really does all of his own stunts. He himself, in fact, while we're on the topic, I mean, I just gotta tell you at some
go
point.
on. Anything about Cruise is worth the time.
Oh, no, this is about the strong
Oh,
hammer.
shit. Okay, well, go ahead.
Well, out of that company, if it's all right with you if we spill the tea, sir.
Okay, go for it.
He himself killed 200 soldiers alone.
I don't buy it. Look, you're my best friend. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right, you are it. Don't let it go to your head.
Sir?
Yes, don't let it go to your head, or I'll treat you like Tracy. All right? And
I'm sorry, sir.
life has been rough for her.
I can't get my emotions in check. Sir.
Yes.
Go on. I'm just gonna be crying.
I'm gonna tell you as my best friend. I don't buy this. I don't like this Roran strike. You know, Aragon, I get. I'm upset about it, but I get he's a dragon rider, blah, 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 blah. Attack, always whining, but what about my healthcare? But this Roran Stronghammer, I can't be real. Do you think he's on creatine?
Oh, sir, what?
You think he does Pilates?
Oh, I was not paying attention. completely blacked out after you
All right,
called me
well,
your best friend.
Got a shuriken. Let him take a little chomp for
Gladly,
not paying
sir.
attention. I love you.
Your best friend.
Okay, anyway, well, get out of here. I got more. My body's a temple. I own a temple. I'm Galbatorix. All right, getting back to work. Squeeze the glute scalp.
Tracy?
Yes, get Tracy in here.
One, a super set one.